The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows.
Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of This Week in Guns is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
And the show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Heron. As always, I get the distinct privilege to introduce our guest tonight. First up, we've got a guy that I've known for a bit, but I think you guys are just going to get to know him tonight. He's from Idaho. He is a 6-year USAF officer veteran, owner and CEO of Antares Alliance, and brand new owner of Operator Coffee. Please welcome Casey Betzold. What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude? Thanks
Glad to have you, man. And next up, I know you guys know this dude. He is the host of Talking Lead on the Firearms Radio Network. Please welcome Marty Left Hand Holder. What's up, buddy?
Word. What's up, man?
Glad to have you guys.
My first time on.
That is incredible to me. I don't even know what's happening.
6 years, and this is my first time.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. So we're going to get into it because we have a ton of stories to cover. First off, I want to apologize for not having a show last week. I was actually in Louisiana laying in a swamp shooting this rifle at Green Line training. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was very stinky, but it was a great time. So we're going to cover 2 weeks of news on this show and make sure that we keep you guys all up to date on everything. Excuse me. But before we get started, you heard in the intro, Patriot Patch Company. Go check them out, patriotpatch.co. Patch of the Month Club, something that I think is pretty great. So I highly advise you go check that out. All right, now let's get into the show. First story, armed bystander holds murder suspect that killed his girlfriend at gunpoint until police arrive. This comes to us from The Blaze. I saw this video. It was really long. So basically this guy stabs his girlfriend / wife, whatever it was, right in front of her kids. And then a concealed carry permit holder basically draws his gun, tells the guy to back off. The guy starts approaching him. The concealed carry holder backs off more. This goes on and on and on for what seems like hundreds and hundreds of yards, with the concealed carry holder keeping a safe distance between the two of them, not engaging for whatever reason. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought that it was a very interesting example of, not just burning him down. Like, he would have had the right, I think. I think he would have considered himself. Go ahead.
Which state was this?
Let's see. I think it was Washington, if I remember. Yeah, Seattle, Washington.
Seattle, Washington. Okay, not DC.
Not DC. So yeah, Seattle, Washington.
He would have been thrown in jail and chastised and hung, and
just for having a gun. And honestly, Seattle's probably not much better. But I will say, he showed amazing restraint. I think he could have said and proved in court that he was either in danger of bodily harm or death, but he didn't. Eventually, the cops subdued the guy, tased the guy, took him down in a public park, and this guy never had to shoot anybody, never had to worry about pulling that trigger. But I thought it was kind of interesting. Did you guys see this video? Casey, I'll start with you.
I did not see the video.
It's pretty amazing. Marty, did you see the video?
I have not seen the video. Are you going to show it?
I can probably get it together here, but let's see here. Yeah, I could do that. What do you guys think about drawing a gun on someone who had just murdered someone in front of you in public area?
I think it's completely justified. Of course, you got to be in the situation. Every situation is different. So until you're there, can't really say this is what I would do. But it sounds like the guy, hopefully he had some training, not obviously, but hopefully he had some training because he was able to, like you said, exercise restraint. But that's the thing. He assessed the situation and he took it as far as it needed to go.
Yeah, he did. And people criticized him for walking backwards so long. But I think had he moved towards another person or even tried anything, I think the guy might have burned him down, which I think we should all kind of exercise this restraint, especially in this situation.
Well, Seattle's a tricky place. Washington as a state you can get a concealed carry permit simply by going down and filling out a form and doing it. You don't have to go through a class to get your concealed carry in the state of Washington. And but Seattle, being a Seattle, is, like you said, not much better than DC. It's a tricky place. So they don't want to pull a trigger there if they don't have to. So to show restraint's a good thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right, I'm going to try to play this video real quick here as soon as I get down to it, because I mean, it goes on for a bit. I probably won't play the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a little over a minute, but I'm watching it right now, and the video cuts in, I guess, after the fact. He's drawing the gun and he's getting the guy to comply with him right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they go back for a while. He keeps a healthy distance between them and eventually just decides not to shoot. So,
yeah. And it's
good
a crowded area too. So,
yeah. And that might be one of the reasons, be aware of your target and what lies behind it. That's a huge part of that. So maybe that was,
there's people all over this video. So, I think he made the right choice here without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely do too. So,
and there happens to be another guy with a gun there too. Oh, he's pepper spraying. I'm sorry. He's a guy with pepper spray.
Oh yeah, that's right. The guy that keeps running up and pepper spraying the dude, and the guy just shakes it off like it's nothing. Very interesting to me.
So, I mean, he had some support there too. So I think that made him feel more at ease in the situation, knowing that he had somebody had his back there as well.
Yeah, they both put themselves at risk for other people. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is a good example of, and hopefully we find out that this guy's legally carrying.
It appears that they call him in the article multiple times a what do you call it? A concealed carry permit holder. So okay, I think that's pretty good. I think this is a perfect time to remind everyone listening that when you are a concealed carry holder or you have a gun in your house for self-defense, whatever it happens to be, I definitely think you should have some self-defense insurance. On this show, in the Firearms Radio Network, we recommend second call defense. Basically, if he had to pull that trigger, if he did get in trouble for some reason by the police because he was holding this guy at gunpoint, whatever, second call defense is going to kick into action. They're going to pay everything day one, $1, whether it's criminal, whether it's civil. Everything is paid, nothing out of pocket. They get you, they provide you the money to get your own attorneys there. They recommend people that they would, but they don't want to make you use their staff attorneys. They want you to be able to use whoever you want, and they will pay for it. It's great. Go check it out. Firearmsradio.tv/SCD is where you can sign up. New York gravity knife case headed to the Supreme Court of the United States. This comes to us from AmmoLand, and there's an organization called Knife Rights, and apparently, sorry, I'm waiting for it to load. It's going very, very slowly. Knife Rights is actually going to move forward with an appeal to the Supreme Court because the Second Circuit court favored New York City and District Attorney Cyrus Vance. What this is, it's a specific case about some vagueness in a law, but when it goes to the Supreme Court, if the Supreme Court decides to actually accept it, it's going to be a much bigger picture thing. Like, does New York actually have the right to get rid of commonly used knives and things like that? I think it's always scary for us to go to the Supreme Court with anything, just because if we lose, that sets precedent for the entire nation for a very long time. And it's also very expensive. But I think, we need these organizations, and this one's called Knife Rights, to kind of fight these fights for us. Marty, what do you think?
No, absolutely. I mean, we've got to have proponents that speak for the majority of us out there. And just like just like our elected officials, you've got to speak up when you're a member of these associations, or they're just going to get out of hand. So if you're not voting and you're not taking part, then these so-called advocates of ours, Second Amendment advocates, I'm not going to name any names, NRA, sometimes they're not going to, directly reflect what it is that that's best for us or what we actually want.
Yeah. Casey, what are your thoughts?
Well, I know that take another country like Australia, the land of Crocodile Dundee, you can't have a knife over 3 inches there. So that's an example of what happens if you're not, if you don't have an advocacy group that's out there paying attention, watchdogging that stuff.
Definitely. Now, they do say in this article that this is from Knife Rights, a Supreme Court decision to hear the case could affect the implementation and enforcement of a wide spectrum of laws to persons throughout the U.S. It is no longer just about common folding knives. New York City's enforcement of the state's gravity knife law against common folding knives is now the vehicle to answer the bigger constitutional question at issue. Only if the Supreme Court accepts the case do we get to argue the merits of our particular case as it reflects the bigger issue. So very interesting, always kind of nerve-wracking when they have to take something to the Supreme Court. I hope they actually get it there. We'll see if SCOTUS decides to take it.
Well, we've got the majority in the Supreme Court right now, right?
6-3 guns, or 6-3 Second Amendment, I should say. We'll see.
Break their hip or something too.
I think Ginsburg.
Ribs.
Yeah, Ginsburg ribs. Yeah. I think she's been dead for years. They've just been using CGI. Terrorist killed in Melbourne mall attack. This is another one that's just terrifying. This is actually in Australia, like Casey just mentioned. Guy blows up a car, puts an IED in a truck, blows it up. Then he stabs a couple people. Then he runs down the street. There's a couple officers that are there within seconds. One guy has a baton and uses it like it's ridiculous how he uses it. I don't even know what he was trying to do, or
right or something.
What's that?
He's like stabbing at the guys.
Yeah, with the baton. I don't even understand it. And then another guy has a gun out, and this crazy attacker is just swinging this knife at the officers. I'm sure one of them got cut multiple times because he's hitting him pretty good. And I will say that I don't know. They don't shoot him for a very, very, very long time. And then the cop decides to pull the trigger, shoots one round, and bada bing, bada boom, the guy immediately drops. So entire issue stopped immediately. Yep, when the cop stops that threat. The weird thing is apparently in Australia, I read in a couple different places that when a cop has to use deadly force, that's pretty much the end of their career. So this guy had to choose between the end of his career, maybe. We'll just speculate at this point because I don't know for sure. I just read it in a couple different places, but he used deadly force to stop a threat, and he should be commended as a hero. Definitely not punished in any way, but just goes to show you the difference. Like in New York, they would have shot at this guy 3,000 times
and hit him once.
Taking out 14 bystanders.
That could be the hesitance because again, this is a heavy populated area. And there are people all around. So, the guy with the gun, I don't know. You got to put yourself in the situation. I can't armchair quarterback this guy. But I can only think that, his concern is a stray bullet going and hitting somebody other than this guy. And these guys are brave, even for not shooting, because they're sitting there taking the brunt of this guy's attack. They're sitting there taking his stabs, until they can get him in, I guess, into a safe distance to where they can neutralize the threat.
Yep. And I'll also mention that one of the cops is using a shopping cart as a weapon.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
I've been to Australia. I was just a sales guy. I'm not a trainer, but I was with a group of trainers, and they, they put some of these guys through some training scenarios, obviously using American police training standards. And so they'd put them in scenarios where they did this thing with a knife and a gun, and they would give them a scenario. Hey, you walk in the room, somebody's facing away from you. They turn around, they have a knife, they walk at you. And almost every police officer would let the guy with the knife walk the entire distance of the room and stab him before he pulled the trigger. And that was the reason you said it before. They have a big, big problem if they pull the trigger with their career. So they're very well trained. They know what they're doing. Australian police forces are pretty solid in most places, but they are terrified to pull the trigger based on litigation.
Ah, that sucks. Well, they did, and this guy ended. Go ahead, Marty.
I was going to say, which is becoming more and more the case here in America as well.
Absolutely it is.
Yep. Here's another one. Licensed gun owner helps save Metro mom of 3 from violent attack. This happened in Kansas City, Missouri. A guy hears blood curling screams, but I think they meant curdling. And goes to investigate, see what's going on. He is a licensed gun owner, they say here in Missouri, which I assume means that he has a permit to carry his firearm. But anyway, what happened is there's a lady and a guy. The lady, who knows why, she asked him to drop her off at her cousin's house. He decided that he was going to basically attack her, beat her up, all that good stuff in front of the 3 kids in the back seat. She tries to get out. He's grabbing her, pulling her clothes off, like just from grabbing her, trying to pull her into the car. Concealed carrier walks up, sees a woman in danger, sees the kids in the back, draws his firearm, points it at the driver. And at that point, he basically says that I saw him start to comply and I knew I wasn't going to have to go any further. So another case of incredible restraint from a concealed carry person. And it goes to show that, this is 2 stories in one night of people having incredible restraint. and not being reckless in any way. And I think that they're really doing a lot for gun owners in America. Casey, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at any time you don't have to pull the trigger and you get the desired result, that's what you should do. And absolutely, you see somebody in danger. There's so many stories out there that have been recent where people are watching these things unfold from a distance and do nothing. So I like the story from the perspective of the restraint. I also like the story from the perspective of taking action, because there's been a lot of people not take action when they come up on these things.
Yep. Lefty?
Training. You know, if you're going to take on the responsibility of owning a firearm and carrying it, especially in public, then you got to train. And I'm not just talking about going and to the range and paper targets. So you've got to go to a professional and get some defensive handgun training. You know, go to classes, go to courses that simulate stress levels, different types of scenarios, so that you can be, because every situation is going to be different, but you're going to be somewhat prepared when you're faced with the decision of, do I take a life or not?
Yeah. Interesting tidbit I read in here. It says Scott Mason with Rose Brooks, a center that offers shelter and services for domestic violence victims, applauded the concerned citizens' efforts, but said bystanders don't always need to physically get involved to help. Intervening also means calling 911 and telling them what the situation is, he explained. Intervening also means recording information with your cell phone so you can turn it into the police. I think for each individual, it's different. He believes bystanders' lack of action reflects where we are as a society. And then he says society doesn't want to get involved nowadays, and it's sad. We need to help each other more. So here's the thing. I think that, you know, calling and recording on your phone, that's all well and good. You should do that anyway. But what if this guy drives off with her? Does she survive this ordeal, or does she just die? If this guy wouldn't have reacted, wouldn't have gotten involved physically, would she still be alive?
And there's 3 kids in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree. So just really, really tough and pretty interesting. I'm glad for this concealed carrier. He did a great job. Next story comes to us. Texas couple arrested for buying $45,000 in weapons to send to Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's for the caravan. All right. So here's the build up for this. Basically, someone requested these guns, so they went and bought these guns. The guy actually got denied for his background check. So the woman, she actually got the guns, and people would leave money in their unlocked cars, drop it off on their front porch, and then they would just contact a person in Mexico and drop the rifles off at specific locations. So this is without question straw buying, without question illegal. I hope they go to jail for the rest of their lives, because, you know, supplying. Say again.
Is this a new Uber service?
Maybe Gunbird.
Kind of like the Uber Eats. Is this Uber Guns?
It very well could be, man. It's a good question. They're going to throw the book at these people, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
I don't know how they thought they weren't going to get caught. So that's the crazy part about the story to me.
Just because they're criminals. They're idiots.
Yeah.
That's why. They're jackwagons.
Jackwagons, yeah.
Yes, they are.
The jackwagons.
So just thought that was an interesting one. All right, let's get into some actual gun news here for a minute. Remington releases the Model 700 as a pistol. This comes to us from Athlon Outdoors, tacticallife.com. And kind of interesting, I don't really know what to think of it. It's a Remington 700.
Is there a link to that?
Yeah, I'll throw it in the chat here, but
okay.
It is literally a pistol. You can see at the rear, it does actually have the buffer tube extension, so you can screw a pistol brace in there, I think. But it looks kind of weird.
700 bolt action as a pistol.
Yes, a bolt action as a pistol. All right, I just pasted it in the chat there. It's also in the show notes. It looks weird, and they're all shooting it from like a brace on a sled and all that good stuff, and I thought that's interesting. But this is something you could literally just throw a pistol buffer tube and a brace on, which kind of makes it a lot lighter than most Remington 700s is what my thought is. Casey, did you see this? What do you think?
I didn't see it. I'm picturing it, but I would just like, I mean, my 2 cents on Remington is I'd like to see them improve their quality in their company before they get too crazy about new products that are wild.
Yeah, could not agree more.
This is
Marty.
yeah, I'm looking at the pictures here, and I don't want to just discount it automatically.
Bolt
It
action
may
pistol. That's interesting.
serve a purpose for some people, but I'm not seeing a practical use for it right now because these people are bench rest shooting it.
I'm thinking about we just put a folding stock adapter on there, put a pistol buffer tube, and a brace of some sort, and boom, you've got a pretty light Remington 700 for backpacking into
Yeah, it takes a
the
lot of
back
weight out of it.
It's got to be less than 16 inches. So what's do we know the length of the barrel on this thing?
Yes. The 308 is 12.5 inches, and the 223 and 300 blackout are 10.5 inches.
Okay. Bo, I mean, personally, I don't have a use for this, but there may be some people that do. Yeah, it would be cool to put a folding stock on there, but it would be cool to put a folding stock on a full size one. Yeah.
True. Some kind of chassis or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Casey, any use for something like that, or are you kind of with Marty?
Well, I'm a hunter, so if you could take it backpacking, I'd have to play with it a little bit to know whether I had a personal use for it or not. Bolt action pistol is kind of an interesting idea. So in higher calibers for hunting, it might work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All right. Next story is a sad one, comes to us from Southern California. Deranged former Marine kills 12, including a police officer at a bar.
You talking about this borderline shooting? Borderline bar?
Yes, exactly. So I think at this point, people have heard all about it, and I'll just open it up. Marty, you first. Kind of what are your thoughts about the whole thing?
Okay. So, it's the standard, classic standoff between the left and the right. They're saying it's the guns. We're saying it's mental health. It's a combination of the two. I just had a show not too long ago, or actually it's our most recent show, Mike Sodini with Walk the Talk America. You guys had him on your show?
No.
Okay. I'm sure he'll be on soon.
Okay, cool.
But it's an organization that Mike Sodini, president of Eagle Imports, started, Walk the Talk America. He was just tired of hearing, the finger pointing and people saying, it's the guns, it's the mental health, it's the guns, it's mental health. And the two industries not coming together to try to figure out, what we can do combined as communities to, do more research into the mental health of these mass murderers. So we've had him on the show. He's on there. He talks about the organization, what sparked him to start it. But it's an element of a lot of things that come together to make the perfect storm. There are plenty of people who have mental health. There's over 44 million people in America that suffer from some sort of mental health issue, and they're not going around and killing people. It's a very small percentage. It's less than 1%, 0.001% of people with mental health issues that are going and committing these type crimes. I think it's got a lot to do with our society and, the way pop culture is nowadays and the way the media covers these things and glamorizes when somebody goes and does this, just the attention that they get. They know if they do this, they're going to get some sort of attention from it. But Walk the Talk America is definitely an organization you guys need to check into. He has bridged the gap between the mental health industry and the firearms industry. The first person to do that that I'm aware of. So there's actually talks going on between, and they're going to be at SHOT Show. He's convinced them. They've got a booth at SHOT Show. Mental Health of America is going to be there. So I mean, he's breaking ground here.
Very cool. Casey, thoughts?
I saw the first, you read the stories in the first few days of this and the constant news. Did they come out with any of the drug use aspect of antidepressants or prescription meds? Did they confirm any of that?
Not that I've seen that I recall.
I just asked the question. I was kind of waiting for that news because I think that we have a ton of vets out there that are on prescribed everything from antidepressants to muscle relaxers to things to try to combat the PTS deal. And, you can forget those things for one day and it starts to trigger things. And so to Marty's point, you got all these people that have some aspect of mental health issues, by a medical term, out there that are not out shooting people and never will. So, and then you have the fear of who makes the decision on the mental health versus guns piece for somebody to say, hey, they're high risk. The thing that all of these seem to have in common, from my perspective in reading through them, is that there's indicators of potential violence in almost every case. And that's and that's same with this one. I mean, the police have had altercations with these people in advance, and it still comes down to me of a lot of it just has to do with, you're always going to have evil. And that's why we train. That's why we carry. That's why we are prepared to protect our loved ones, because you just never know. And you're in, one of the most anti-gun states, if not the most anti-gun state in America. So it's just a tough one. I mean, it makes you sick. It absolutely does. Nobody likes to see these stories. Nobody feels good about them. Nobody, and everybody wants to blame something, including us, including the pro-gun side. You want to blame something. You want to come up with a cause for it and be able to fix it.
And I will say this also, the mental health, MHA, Mental Health of America, has made a public statement that they do not want to take guns away from, these people that suffer from mental health, because some people it's not a permanent thing. It's, they just, sometimes they will go into dark places. And I think that's a big problem that we have, is that people who do suffer from some sort of mental illness, especially our military.
Yeah, right. The vets,
men and women, they don't want to admit to it or, claim it, because that's the first thing that's going to happen is, they're going to get their gun rights taken away from them. And they
don't want to do it on active duty either. I mean, nobody wants to go in and get that checkbox, because it follows you around as a medical record forever. Right. It's a scary place to go. And so they just kind of get left hanging out there, because they don't want to raise their hand.
Yeah. We got to do a better job in, how we treat our mentally ill, and not treat them like they're, it's a lifelong condition that can't be treated, because it can.
Sure.
Definitely.
I agree.
We always look for reasons for stuff like this. And he posted on Facebook, he was just like, people are going to ask why I did this. And my answer is, why not? And it kind of interesting that he posted stuff like that. And I believe he actually posted during the killing.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Making some post while he was on his spree there. But that, again, everybody reaching out for help, and the help wasn't there for him.
Maybe three things that kind of were a little bit weird. So from the original article, which came to us from the Daily Mail, but in there they talk about his record as a Marine, and then he was always being insubordinate, and they basically just kind of make him look a bit like an a-hole. To which I'm like, well, do you know any Marines? Because that's pretty much how they.
You ever met him?
Yeah, that was for Tony and Zane and Jeremy and all the others. But there was actually a guy who survived the Las Vegas shooting. He survived there, and he actually died in this one. So 2 mass killings for this individual in the space of a year. Pretty incredible. No, he did not make it through this one, unfortunately.
That's a guy with some bad luck right there.
The worst of luck.
I mean, the odds. Seriously, what are the odds?
I mean, the odds are it's like 1 in just trillions, probably.
Yeah.
When you take the entire population of the United States and the number of mass killings, which is minimal at best.
That they happen too. The first one he was involved with was in Las Vegas. He was at that one, and then this one was in California. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Another point that people wrote about, AmmoLand brought this to us, is that there are actually 6 off-duty police officers inside there. And the only reason I bring this up is because a lot of people want to say, well, they were disarmed because it's in California. And I'm like, no, they were probably disarmed because they're chasing some college tail.
They were drinking.
Yeah, they were drinking and chasing college girls. And I'm like, that seems pretty normal. I don't think there's anything weird about that at all. I don't think it has anything to do with California. I think it just has to do with, people who are being responsible based on what they were actually doing.
Hopefully,
yeah.
we like to think.
Yep, definitely. So, as always, thoughts go out to the families and those affected. Just really suck.
Thoughts and prayers. Yeah, absolutely.
SCOTUS refuses to hear California may issue case. This comes to us from Reuters. And in California, they are a may issue state where they have to provide good cause to get a concealed carry permit. But each individual county sheriff is up to the definition, or the definition of good cause is up to them. So it's incredibly difficult to actually get a concealed carry gun. A concealed carry permit in California. So this case has been taken and looks like it was denied by the Supreme Court of the United States, which not really a big, huge surprise personally. I'm not surprised at all, to be perfectly honest. What about you guys? Are you surprised that they didn't accept it, or just
no?
Casey, I'll start with
you. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, they're not. I mean, they're not the only may issue state out there. I don't know. I'm not really that surprised either.
Yeah, it's not surprising at all. And to me, the Supreme Court doesn't accept something in this unless they think that they're probably going to overturn it, right? Because otherwise, why bother? If they don't think they're going to overturn it, they're probably just not going to even accept it, because how many cases get presented to the Supreme Court every year? But having said that, I think it is interesting that, cases keep going and the SCOTUS actually keeps denying them. Marty, what do you think? Just about, do you think the Supreme Court is going to eventually accept some of these, and how do you think they'll come down?
I think it's going to be, when laws are in place and they're already in place, very hard to get them overturned or changed, no matter what administration is in. But I mean, we stand a greater chance with the cards we've got right now. So, I see it as a huge possibility, but it comes down to the American and the voice that you want to project to your representatives. And that's where it comes in. You have to be the squeaky wheel. That's what the left has been for decades now. They've been the squeaky wheel, and they've been getting their way for a lot of the stuff that they've been trying to pull. But we've got to be that squeaky wheel now.
Yeah. So here's one that's even more concerning to me. And this one comes to us from Truth About Guns. The headline is, First Circuit Court rules there is no right to bear arms outside your home. So the First Circuit, the Second Circuit, the Ninth Circuit, these are all very left-leaning circuits. And we see stuff like this fairly often. But this is kind of an interesting one. It says that the First Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that the right to self-defense is at its zenith inside the home, and the right is plainly more circumscribed outside. He says the core right protected by the Second Amendment is for citizens to use arms in defense of home. Public carriage of firearms for self-defense falls outside the perimeter of this core right. That seems insane to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, we covered two stories tonight that convey why that's a bad idea.
The odds of you encountering a threat to your life outside of your house is exponentially increased. So it makes no sense.
Or somebody else's life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I just,
the less chance of you getting hurt is going to be in your home.
Yeah, exactly. One of the safest places that we can possibly go. But the Second Amendment, as far as I know it, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't hear anything about in your home there. Like, how do they even come to these conclusions? It doesn't make sense.
Your homestead. Yeah. It shows you their asinine way of thinking,
Twist it.
The First Circuit, by the way, is in Massachusetts.
You can't twist the Second Amendment, the Constitution. There's no. It's plain.
It's pretty plain English. I agree.
It's not vague. They didn't leave it vague. They left words out on purpose, not to make it vague. Well,
I got to say, there's some things in it that seem by today's.
I'm sorry.
By today's by today's parlance, by today's the way we word things in our vocabulary, some things in the Second Amendment seem a little bit off. But if you go back and you actually do research into what they said in other parts of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, we clearly see that this is exactly what they meant, because they use these same words that seem unclear to 2018 ears. They use them in the same way, describing the same thing in other places in the Bill of Rights. So yeah, they were very, very clear in exactly what they were doing. And again, I don't know where this court falls down, but as far as I know, these circuit courts are to rule on the merits of the law, not to legislate via the bench.
Well said.
Yeah.
That's why
Next story. That's why I'm what?
That's why you're the host.
October firearm sales fall to 7-year low. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about this. This comes to us from AmmoLand again, and this is it's a group called the Small Arms Analytics and Forecasting. But NICS checks are a very terrible way to justify or to judge how many firearms are being purchased in the United States, because there are multiple states that actually run their concealed carry permit holders through NICS checks every single month to make sure they're not prohibited people. So that inflates them. This group actually takes those analytical reports and removes those things that could otherwise inflate the NICS reports and actually publishes those numbers. So they say that October 2018 firearm sales are at 1,046,087 units, a year-over-year, decline of 11.9% from October 2017. It's the lowest October number since 2011. Single handgun sales fell year over year by 11.5%, and single long gun sales fell year over year by 12.9%. What are you guys seeing out there? What are people telling you? Casey, I'll start with you.
I think sales are down, and I don't think that should be a surprise to anyone. We're into a time with the new administration where people don't have as much fear for gun rights, and fear of those being adjusted, manipulated, taken away is what drives firearm sales beyond just the standard. I feel like buying another gun today, which you're still talking about over 1 million units. I mean, the numbers are still astronomically high, and they were higher than people could even wrap their head around for almost a decade. So to see them come down, I don't think is an indicator of anything other than people are feeling more comfortable with the current administration and their day-to-day life and the economy and everything else.
Yeah. Marty, what do you think?
So I think historically, I mean, probably just October. Is that all they're going by? Is just October?
Just October for this one.
Okay. Well, I think historically gun sales are still low this time of year. I mean, that's when they kind of start picking up over the holidays. But yeah, I mean, I've heard for a while, that sales have been down, but then I have other, handguns. I've heard they're still doing pretty well. So it depends. Are they talking handguns? Are they talking rifles? What are they talking in particular?
They call them both out there, both down by 11.5% for handguns and 12.9% for rifles.
Yeah, but I think we're going to see that pick up. I think it's going to start increasing.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think the key point, the takeaway here is...
Listen, here's what I don't understand why people aren't out buying the shit out of guns right now, because I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to cuss on this show. They're the lowest that they've ever been. Ammo's the lowest that it's ever been. Why did jackwagons wait until the gun grabbers start coming after our guns and they start tripling in price, and that's when they want to go buy the guns? It's ridiculous. It's like real estate. You buy low, you sell high, stocks and everything.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. All right. Anything else on that one, guys?
Nope. Good.
Next story. Let's see. We've got a little bit. I think I'm going to go to I'm offended right now, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be offended about. First off, New York lawmakers, where did it go? Want to check social media before issuing gun purchase permits. Like, I don't know. New York is like not even America, in my opinion. I know we've got a lot of listeners in New York, and I'm not saying leave. Like, I don't ascribe to that. I say stay and fight. People have lives, and it's tough to kind of uproot those lives. But what they're saying, like 3 months, I believe. Or no, I'm sorry. Review 3 years of social media history and 1 year of internet search history of the person seeking to purchase a firearm. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. Clearly, this is not in place. They're just drafting a bill, and this is what they're proposing. But are you kidding me? Like, what are they going to look for? Are they going to look for someone who had a little bit of road rage and complained about somebody on their drive to work? And that's going to disallow, like, my Facebook.
Objective.
Yeah, my Facebook is basically just stupid memes.
Well, I know where it's coming from. It's coming from the fact that they bring social media into the story every time somebody goes on a mass killing. What were they tweeting? What were they Facebooking? And they're going to go back and it's the whole argument of, well, we can indicate whether or not somebody's going to create a crime based on, and if you're exercising freedom, that's a dangerous, slippery slope to get into. Social media, it's so stupid. I hate social media. Hate it.
I totally agree. Marty, what do you think?
I would love to boycott social media.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I think it's the worst thing that's ever happened to our society.
I agree.
What's the NSA thing where they scan all social Prism or something like that? I don't know, where they scan everything for keywords and stuff like that. I'm like, this stuff clearly exists. I mean, you know it does. You know that everything public out there at the very minimum, they're out there scanning and taking stuff. But man, in order to buy a gun, they're going to scan 3 years of your social media history and 1 year of your internet search history. Like, I use incognito mode 99% of the time and proxies 100% of the time. So I don't know what they think they're going to find. They're not going to find anything in mine. But for most people, the social media posts that I see kind of out there every day, like, no one would be able to buy a gun.
Yeah.
Who gets to be the authority? That's the thing. It's like with all these things, the scary part is who gets to be the authority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Next up, Dems plan to go all out on gun control now that they hold the House. This comes to us from a morning breakdown, khn.org. And we lost some interesting races as right-wing, I don't want to say Republicans, but just we'll say conservatives lost some very important races. And I will say that these people are coming in with gun control as one of their top priorities. Marty, do you think we have a reason to be scared right now?
I don't think so. No. I don't think we need to be afraid of anything. As long as we stick together, don't, bite each other's heads off, don't attack ourselves from within, and support our foundation, we'll be fine. But we got to stick together, and we got to, you got to keep those voices loud.
I like that. Casey, what do you think? Do you think we have reason to be concerned right now?
No, I actually think it's a good thing, and I'll tell you why. The talking heads in the House, the best thing for gun rights, the best thing for conservatives, the best thing for us going into the next presidential election cycle is letting Nancy Pelosi talk and letting them ring the bell on gun control and let them go ahead and push that, because we still hold two sides of the triangle of power, and let them go for that. It'll make people pay attention. I want people to pay attention.
It'll make people go out and buy guns.
And it will be an uptick in the industry. Absolutely.
Which is ridiculous. That should not cause an uptick in the gun sales. I hate that.
No, but it does. We know it does, though.
Ridiculous, though. It's stupid.
It is stupid. No question about it.
Do an uptick now. Start buying guns now. Cheap. It's really Friday, Cyber Monday coming up. The best day of the year.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Having said that we're not scared, Congress is going after 80% of guns and parts kits in the guise of a 3D gun ban. This is text. The text of this is a House Resolution 7115 to prohibit the sale, acquisition. I'm eating an almond. To prohibit the sale, acquisition, distribution, and commerce or import into the United States of certain firearm receiver castings or blanks, assault weapons, parts kits, and machine gun parts kits, and the marketing or advertising of such castings or blanks and kits on any medium of electronic communication, to require homemade firearms to have serial numbers and for other purposes. There is so much there, not just 80% in that market, but clearly parts kits. This specifically says assault weapons, which actually have no definition, no legal definition. This is a media definition, which shows that this resolution is ill thought out and stupid, which we already know. But that would mean like no triggers, no lower parts kits, no upper parts kits. You can no longer replace a trigger pin if one falls out, things like that. Yeah. This is terrifying, and this is a good reason to be concerned, if not scared. Casey, what do you think?
The country of Thailand prohibits importation of parts. So you have everything from the military to the police to the common gun owner citizen that cannot fix and replace weapons. And so you have giant bins and pallets of inoperable weapons in the country of Thailand because of this. You can't do springs, you can't do pins, you can't do screws, you can't do triggers, you can't do any of that. So as soon as a gun malfunctions, it becomes inoperable. You can't even fix the thing. It's just a bad idea economically, just taking our police and military into account, much less it's everything that you said is wrong with that. Everything is wrong with what you said, basically.
Yeah, it's awful. Marty?
Yeah, I feel the same way that, I mean, that's a perfect example right there. It's not going to pass because our industry here in America, I mean, there's too many jobs, there's too much income from that happens. It's not going to happen. But again, they try to disguise it and dress it up as, we're just going to do this to make it sound like it's, we're just going to take this one thing, but it actually affects many other things, just like the bump stock. They're saying, well, we're just going to take the bump stock, but if you look at that bill where they were going to take the bump stock, it was any device that increases the rate of fire. Again, that's a trigger, that's a spring, that's, all the components of the firearm. So,
yeah,
it's all dressed up and, in a nice little package to make you think it's harmless. It's not going to just give us this one thing. But no, they're sneaky little SOBs.
Lots of jackwagon candidates this week.
Yeah.
Lots of jack.
So the term assault weapon parts kits, with air quotes, means any part or combination of parts designed and intended to enable a consumer who possesses all such necessary parts to assemble a semi-automatic assault weapon.
Say goodbye to our AKs.
Yeah, like everything. And then the term semi-automatic assault weapon means a semi-automatic rifle or semi-automatic shotgun that has the capacity to accept a detachable ammunition feeding device, or a semi-automatic pistol that has the capacity to accept a detachable ammunition feeding device and any one of the features described in subsection B.
That's everything. That's everything. Mm-hmm. They're covering everything.
Yep. Yes. Subsection B, an ammunition magazine that attaches to the pistol outside of the pistol grip, a threaded barrel capable of accepting a barrel extender, flash suppressor, forward hand grip, or silencer, a shroud that is attached to or partially or completely encircles the barrel and that permits the shooter to hold the firearm with a non-trigger hand without being burned, so no hand guards, a second hand grip, a manufactured weight of 50 ounces or more when the pistol is unloaded, and a semi-automatic version of an automatic firearm. That last one. A semi-auto version of an automatic firearm. So MP5 SKs, nope, bye. Honestly, AK-47s, M4s, those are fully auto firearms. Those are full auto firearms. AR-15s, AK-74s, these are semi-auto versions. They are outlawing ARs and AKs in this.
Is this just specifically rifles that they're going at, or are they going after handguns?
Oh, pistols. Pistols also.
Pistols also, yep.
Okay, so Glock. Bye Glock.
Yeah. This is the worst gun legislation that we've seen in the history of gun legislation, in my not so humble opinion.
Who authored the bill?
Let's see. I can tell you. Rep. Frank Pallone, Democrat from New Jersey, introduced on November 2nd, 2018.
Okay.
So
everybody inundate Frank Pallone. Fill up his email box. Fill up his social media right now. Tell him he's a jackwagon.
Not just that, but I got to say, write letters. It's cool to put your name in a form on a website and send stuff that way. But I've heard from multiple people that the best thing you can do as a citizen of the United States to get these people to listen to us is send them letters. To write a letter, type a letter and print it out and sign it, and then put a stamp on it, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and then send it to your representatives. They have to log every single one of these. And if we overwhelm them with mail, that's how they understand. These emails, I don't think they track very well. I don't think they care very much. But actual mail that comes in, they literally have to track it by law and keep track of that. So we really need to be writing letters, folks. That's one of the great ways. So not only
the process of how to send a letter again, because I'm sure some of these generations have never sent a letter. So
not a bad idea.
I'm not being sarcastic. You need to go through the process of how to send a letter again.
Honestly, I would say sometimes I forget how to write my name, so because I type 99% of the time. So whenever I have to sign my name, it's just like, bleh. So I don't even think that's that far-fetched, to be perfectly honest.
Really not. I guarantee you there is a generation of Americans that have never mailed a letter in their life.
Maybe two.
Could be.
Maybe entering 2 generations at this point.
It could be that deep into it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my to-do list.
Idiocracy is going to happen.
Idiocracy is well underway.
Yeah.
Do a video on how to write and mail a letter to representatives.
That would be perfect.
All right, done. It's on the list. I should get to it in 2-3 years.
2-3 years.
But that'll do it for the news tonight. I know you guys are super busy, and I kind of want to hear what you guys have been up to and what you got going on and where people can find all the stuff that you do online. Casey, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, geez, how long we got?
As long as it takes.
Let's see. So we'll start with Antares Alliance. I've actually been on your other show, We Like Shooting Talk, on Antares Alliance. Antares Alliance is a network now, a community of companies with a tangible, measurable give to veterans and first responders. So it's a like-minded group of companies. It could be any type of company in any market. It started out of the shooting industry, so we're pretty heavy there. We're 53 companies right now across the board, everything from media marketing folks to firearm companies to ammo companies to coffee companies to credit card processors and graphics designers, website developers, podcasters, multiple podcasters, one of them on this show right now. Talking Lead and God and Guns, both part of the Alliance Network, and Birdman Media being the other one. So three podcasters in the group. But the point is community. So the way I explain it to companies that call and say, hey, what is this thing? We grew up in towns, most of us, small towns, even suburbs of cities, where there was a community where city, business owners worked together, even if they were competing in business, to refer business to each other. Their kids played baseball together. They lived in community. Then we got into this social media, digital, internet-based business, and now we work with people all over the country and potentially never meet them, never sit down with them, never meet their kids, never meet their wives or their family. Never have food with them, never, and you don't have to do that. So am I more likely to refer business or connect the dots with people or refer business to people I've met and have a relationship with, or people I have not? And so that's kind of the premise of the Alliance. The idea is working together in community, even though we're spread out around the country. We come together and do events. You guys both have been to Alliance Week, Try and Buy event out at the range, and then throughout the course of conjunction with SHOT Show. The idea there is, how do we maximize the time on the ground at SHOT for the benefit of small companies that are trying to make a footprint there? How do we get great folks out like Sean and Lefty out to meet with people and see new products that they're going to talk about and review during the year as content for their shows? That's good for you guys. It's good for them, just as a couple of examples there. So that's kind of the Alliance piece. Antares, Anteris, alliance.com. You can kind of find all the info there. If you're a media buyer influencer, you can sign up for Try and Buy. If you're an Antares Alliance lifetime member, you get discounts on many of those products. And you can get into those events even though they're closed to the public. So check all that stuff out there and get a hold of me personally at info@antaresalliance.com if you have questions. And then the new thing is Operator Coffee. Operator Coffee started as an Alliance company, met Robin and Zach, young operator, former military dude. And life changes have just pushed them to the point where they just can't manage that company. And so we stepped in and purchased that company from them. And they're working on welcoming their first baby. And we wish them a lot of wellness with that. And they built a cool brand. I mean, they built a really cool brand. I'll show I got a bag sitting here right next to me, actually. I didn't plan this, but it happens to be sitting here. So this is one of the roasts, Roast 22, which happens to be one of my favorites. But it's you can see kind of the idea there. It's a tribute to operators, and this one particularly brings awareness to the 22 suicides a day in the veteran community, going back to that mental health thing we talked about earlier. OperatorCoffee.com is where you can find that. Percentages of every sale go back to a number of nonprofits. You'll see SAL on the website, Special Operations Wounded Warriors. Ron Bellin sits as a board member with them, also a board member at the Alliance, Navy SEAL Master Chief Ron Bellin. And And so there's been a program with that, and we're starting to add the other nonprofits in as well to benefit them as we go. So ties into the Alliance Network and the program that we got going on, and yeah, working on some big events. A big one we planned for Galveston next October. Alliance Week, of course, coming up in like 2 months, if everybody can believe it. I can't believe we're in the middle of November.
What?
It's crazy. Yeah, right. So that's me. That's what I got going on, guys.
Very cool, man. Thanks for being on. I hope you can make it again sometime very, very soon. And go check out all the stuff, Antares Alliance and also Operator Coffee. And Casey, where can they find all this online?
AntaresAlliance.com, ANTERIS Alliance.com. You can find just about everything you need there. OperatorCoffee.com for the coffee. Go buy it. Look for the Black Friday special, and Lefty will be talking about that too next week, I think.
Baller. I love it, man. Now, Lefty.
Hey.
First time on the show, buddy. Tell me everything that you're up to and where people can find you, as if they don't already know.
So, great things happening at Talking Lead. We have been adding some new elements to the show. We've got the Talking Lead AK Corner that we've added. It's a 12-part series where we're talking nothing but AK-47s. We're getting experts on the show. We're getting operators, people who have used the AK-47 in combat situation, former Spetsnaz, all kinds of people. Jim Fuller just going to drop his episode tomorrow. So part 5 is coming out tomorrow. Pioneer Arms is sponsoring our show. We're giving away 12 AK-47s.
Dang.
Nice.
One every episode. So tomorrow, one of you lead heads, you find out who it is, wins another AK tomorrow. And Jim Fuller, like I said, he is the godfather of AK-47s with Rifle Dynamics is our guest. And he's going to be giving away 2 of his Armorer's Course CDs as well. So lots of stuff going on with the AK Corner. We've got our Black Friday Cyber Monday 4th annual special show coming up this Thanksgiving. And that's where we try to bring you as many awesome deals in the industry. They come to us. We report the deals, the discounts. Some of those are exclusive just to our listeners. As Casey mentioned, Operator Coffee is going to drop an awesome deal for you listeners. Right on Optics, they've got something that you definitely aren't going to want to miss. Altai boots, Night Vision, Tactical RX, Prime 1 Camo, Modern Spartan Systems, Obsidian Arms. Tactical Shit is going to be dropping some tactical discounts on your asses. So make sure you tune in for that. That's going to be Thanksgiving Day. So all those companies and more, I think Glock, and we've got several more lined up that going to be hitting you guys with some deals. So that's coming up. SHOT Show's coming up. All kinds of awesome stuff. And we're just Talking Lead. Google Talking Lead. You find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and thanks to Sean for taking over Firearms Radio Network. We are back with Firearms Radio Network, so we're part of the network.
Indeed, and glad to have you, man.
I think we might be the redheaded stepchild, but we're part of Firearms Radio Network. We're proud to be part of the network again.
You're always in my heart and my mind, Marty.
We are back, baby.
I love it. So go check them out and all that stuff, guys. Thank you so much for
being here. I want to say about Antares. Another thing I want to say about Antares, you guys definitely go check out Antares Alliance. They are, I mean, everything that Casey said, but for you company owners, for you manufacturers that are part of the Alliance, it is a great way to network with other companies as well. I've never seen so much cooperation between companies that do the same thing. I mean, they're even working together and it works. You know, it's not like we got to be competitors and we got to be cutthroat and can't talk to you. So these guys work together and they come up with ways to where everybody can succeed and be successful. So I love that about the Alliance, and I'm proud to be one of the original members and a life member.
So awesome.
Love it. Thanks, Marty.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate both you guys giving up your Wednesday night for us and our listeners. Don't forget, guys, leave us reviews, whatever. Leave us reviews on iTunes. reviews on Facebook, whatever it happens to be. Go check out the Firearms Radio Network on all the social media. There is a This Week in Guns private Facebook group that you can join. Just go check it all out. And thank you so much to all of our listeners who've stuck with us through all these years. We truly appreciate it. The numbers that the network puts up and downloads shows that the gun lifestyle is very, very healthy in the United States and the podcasting community especially. So thanks to Patriot Patch Company. Thanks to Second Call Defense. Thanks to Kenny Ortega, who is our producer and amazing at everything he does. This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. We'll catch you all next week.